All right, y'all. I'm back live in the flesh. GMOG Media TV, live in the flesh with another GMOG Media TV live conversation. All right. I'm not going to be on here for too long. I'm really not, because I've been on here. I got a new camera. I don't know if you guys can tell the difference. It's a 4K camera. It's called a Logitech Brio 4K, but I've been trying to mess around with the settings. I've been on this damn computer for like 2 hours trying to mess with the settings. Still can't really mess with it because I'm trying to do like the background replacer. I'm still working on that, but so far I'm disappointed with this camera. Quality is a little better than what I had before, but it's I'm just kind of I guess disgruntled with some of the things I wanted to do with this camera based off the reviews I saw, and I can't do it right now. So I guess I'll figure it out a little bit later. I'm a little tired. So I want to talk about this Bruno Mars thing that's happening. I never really was a fan. Actually, I never was a fan of Bruno Mars. And yes, I do think he is a culture vulture, as well as DJ Khaled, as well as Justin Timberlake, Conor McGregor. I'm gonna break all that stuff down real quick as you guys come in the room. Let me change my and let me know if you guys can hear me. I have my because before when I did this live stream, I think I did the live stream with the about the Wilder Luis Ortiz fight, but my microphone wasn't connected. So let me know if you guys can hear my desktop microphone instead of my webcam microphone. I got to change my my thing so I can see who's in the chat. So let me know. Okay. All right. There we go. Yeah, the camera. I got a new camera, but I'm not really feeling some of the settings. I'm still playing around with it. But yeah, I wanna talk about Bruno Mars. I saw this video on Twitter. Someone had sent it to me on my timeline. Let me turn down this background music real quick. Someone sent it to me on my timeline. It was based off of like a panel discussion, and I think they were talking about like various topics, but this one sister was going in on Bruno Mars and how you know, he was a culture vulture and not really black. I mean, he claims Puerto Rican, right? But he's also mixed with other ethnicities. I believe he's from Hawaii, so his nationality is technically Hawaiian, but he's all over the place. He's like the opposite of Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is definitely black, but doesn't want to claim it. You know what I'm saying? Bruno Mars is not technically black, but wants to be black, right? Steals black culture, uses black culture. I will give him this. He has you know, acknowledged that music and culture is rooted from black people. He did acknowledge that. But at the same time, when you're coming out with, and I'm just going off the top of my head, guys, forgive me. I'm just want to get this out of my thoughts and stuff. At the same time, when you're coming out with your music, you know for a fact it's a ripoff. You know, especially with what's that? The most recent song with Cardi B. We know it's a ripoff of New Jack Swing. You know, Teddy Riley, all the New Jack Swing styles back in the 90s. We know this. That comes directly from that. You know what I'm saying? But let me play this clip real quick, guys. The clip that I had on my Twitter timeline. I'm gonna play it, and then I'm gonna offer my commentary after that. All right. So, like I said, I'm not gonna be on here for too long. I am really tired. It's almost 10 o'clock here, and I'm just gonna share my thoughts with you guys. You know, give you guys some point of references and just keep it moving. Try to catch a little bit of the Lakers game before I go to bed. I got to do a lot of stuff on the weekend with the family. Saturday or Sunday. But anyway, let's go ahead and share my screen real quick, and I'll play this this video and come back with my commentary. So here we go.
Because, like, yes, Bruno Mars 100% is a cultural appropriator. He is racially ambiguous. He is not black at all, and he plays up his racial ambiguity to be able to do what Jimmy says, cross genres and go into different places. And you guys are bringing up Michael Jackson. Number one, me personally, like, I don't even think that Michael Jackson now in this day and age will be able to get to the point that he got to previously.
Facts.
And a huge part of that is because people have realized that they prefer their black music and their black culture from a non-black base. And you have, so I'm talking, so you can get this because I'm talking right now. And in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different ways, we have artists now that are much more willing to step into quote unquote black genres that were not willing to do it, but like they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to be in black music. Black music was seen a certain type of way. We've reached a point now where hip hop recently surpassed rock and roll as the most listened to genre in the United States. Black American culture has reached a certain point in this time period. It was not at when Michael Jackson was popping. Like people had to campaign to get Michael Jackson's videos played on MTV. We are not in that same time period right now. So that's even a false equivalency to even try to bring up Michael Jackson's career and compare that to Bruno Mars. And I also want to say that Bruno Mars is not an original artist in the same way that Michael Jackson was an original artist, in the same way that Prince was an original artist. What Bruno Mars does is he takes pre-existing work and he just completely word for word recreates it, extrapolates it. He does not change it. He does not improve upon it. He does not make it better. He's a karaoke singer. He's a wedding singer. He's the person you hire to do Michael Jackson and Prince covers. Yet Bruno Mars has an Album of the Year Grammy and Prince never won an Album of the Year Grammy. So how you gonna say? How you gonna say people that are originators in the funk genre, that are originators in the R&B, the New Jack Swing? Bobby Brown and New Edition don't have no Album of the Year Grammy. Bruno Mars got that Grammy because white people love him because he's not black, period. The issue is we want our black culture from non-black bodies. And Bruno Mars is like, I'll give it to you.
All right, yep. So, all right, so let me stop that. That's the clip there. Now there is a longer version of, let me share my screen. Let me share my video again. Bear with me, guys. Stop. Okay. So yeah, there's a longer version of that video. I haven't watched the entire clip yet, but based off that clip, which I guess on Twitter, it has over 1 million views, which is that's pretty damn good. I agree with everything she said. Everything she said was 100% correct. I just want to offer my take and expound upon what she was talking about real quick. So, like I said, Bruno Mars, he started his career as an Elvis impersonator. So that goes to show you where his foundation comes from. His foundation comes from extrapolating other people's works, right? And regurgitating that very same work. And Elvis did the same exact thing. Elvis stole from black artists. That's how he got his hit record with Hound Dog, right? Hound Dog was from Big Mama Thornton back in the 50s. The term, see, this whole thing about culture appropriation, and culture vulture, these are just new age terms, right? That are politically revised to basically say it's racism, right? We've always had, especially in the music industry, there's always been culture vulture or culture appropriation. It's been happening since, inception of the music industry. You go back into the early 1900s during the Jim Crow era, black musicians, when they started with jazz and you know, rock and roll and stuff like that. All that came from black people, but they had a specific genre. And if you guys follow me for any significant amount of time, or at least for a while, you know, I've talked about this before, but if you go back into the early 1900s, you know, they had a specific music genre for black people, and it was called race records. Back in the early 1900s, 1920s to the 1940s, they had a specific genre for black artists called race records. This was way before the term R&B was coined, and of course before hip hop was even thought of. But it was called race records, and so that particular genre of music, the dominant white society would study that genre of music. They studied the artist, studied the talent, and they see that that talent pool was so, you know, extraordinary. They had to use black artists. And so they used a black artist like Big Mama Thornton to create Hound Dog, you know, and that sparked off Elvis Presley's career. Right? And this goes back full circle with Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars started his career impersonating Elvis Presley. And like I mentioned to you before, you saw the history with Elvis Presley, right? Now that, and I read also that, you know, Bruno Mars, you know, he has a Puerto Rican side of his family. And I believe on his father's side. His name, which I don't have in front of me right now, but I know his name is has a Latino name or something like that. But he changed, obviously Bruno Mars is a stage name. The point is that he had to change his actual name to Bruno Mars so that he wasn't pigeon-toed into a quote unquote Latino artist, right? He didn't want to be labeled as a Latino artist based off his name, his family's name. And based off that, he was able to find mediums into using black artists, right? And going into the hip hop culture, things of that nature. And fast forward to today, he's a pop artist, one of the, you know, highest grossing selling artists in music today, right? That's who he is today. But like I said, he started his career off as an impersonator for Elvis Presley. Let me go back to the live chat. I don't even see. Okay, there we go. I wanted to see the chat. But like I said, he started his career off as an Elvis impersonator. So, you know, this goes back full circle. Bruno Mars now is being labeled, and rightfully so, as a karaoke singer, right? Again, with all of these hit records, these quote unquote hit records that he has, and the fact that he was nominated for a Grammy. I don't watch the Grammy, so I'm not even sure if he won a Grammy or not, because I don't care about the Grammys. But let me know if he did win a Grammy. He got nominated for a Grammy or won a Grammy or whatever. But artists like, and I always butcher her name, but I know who she is. She's a pioneer artist and one of the most original artists you will find today. But her name is Michelle Ende Ocello. I believe that's how you pronounce her last name. But she did an interview saying the very same thing, that Bruno Mars is a karaoke lounge singer, and he's copying styles from New Jack swing artists like Belle Biv DeVoe, Jimmy Jam, and Terry Lewis. Right, that's what she said, and she has a keen ear for music, and she's been putting down original works since the 90s, late 80s, actually. You know what I'm saying? She says the very same exact thing. Right? When someone like a Bruno Mars, who's classified He's basically classified as non-black, right? You're able to make a foundation and make a living off of black culture. Hip hop music, hip hop is black culture. We know this. All right. We know this. The same thing with rhythm and blues, jazz, rock and roll. It all started from black people. You know, those are just facts that are undeniable. Right. But again, Bruno Mars is making his foundation of profiting off of black music, black success. And for the most part, black people, we embrace it, right? I mean, we do it. A person like the sister that was speaking about Bruno Mars in that video, and again, she was speaking facts. That's the minority. You know, the majority of us dance to 24. What's that song called? 24K Magic or whatever. We dance to that song and all the other songs he got out. We don't care as long as it's good music, right? I never rock with Bruno Mars, you know, and I never rock with guys like DJ Khaled either. I never liked DJ Khaled. All right, I never liked him. You know, I technically don't even know what the hell he does. I know he's a DJ, but how does this man have all these damn albums? He gets all these artists on his album, you know, and I don't even know what the hell he does besides being a DJ. Does he actually produce and write music? I don't know. I really don't know after all these years. I know that he's been a DJ for years down here in South Florida, but after that, I don't know if he actually writes and produces records. Does he at least engineer? I have no clue. But again, a guy like DJ Khaled, who's classified as non-black, uses black culture and makes a profit from it, right? That's someone that is considered a culture vultures. And I'm thinking of DJ Vlad as well. DJ Vlad, right? DJ Vlad who puts a camera in front of your face and interviews hip hop artists, you know, in front of his camera, and he gets millions of views, right? From that. Same thing. Profiting off of black culture, right? Another thing I wanted to also mention outside of that was Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor, I did a video of him, I think the video before that or whatever, what day that was. Was it Wednesday or Tuesday? And talked about him and 50 Cent going back and forth. And also Conor McGregor mentioning, he mentioned Jay-Z and Puffy being on the Forbes list, right? And, you know, first things first, right? Conor McGregor, you know, has always been a guy, at least from what I've been following him, he's just infatuated with black people, especially in, you know, especially in the entertainment industry. Music, he loves bumping hip hop music, which is cool at the same time. That's fine, right? But when you're constantly, you know, mentioning guys like 50 Cent, Floyd, Jay-Z, I mean, constantly, what's the point? You're name dropping these guys on your social media, right? You want to attach their celebrity to your celebrity to garner up more points for your stature. That's what he's trying to do. That's the reason why he got that fight with Floyd Mayweather. Because he studies Floyd Mayweather. He studies guys like Floyd and Muhammad Ali. So he's using the blueprint of Floyd, using the blueprint of Muhammad Ali, right, to widen his audience who are mostly non-black people, right? And he's not gonna admit that, but that's what he's doing. He's been doing it. And his biggest payday was because of Floyd Mayweather, right? And I know one of my subscribers mentioned a very good point regarding Conor McGregor. You know, outside of all that, what I mentioned, the fact that, you know, him as a fighter, you know, he hasn't defended his belts, right? He's not defending his damn belts. I don't know when the last time he fought in UFC. All I know is that video that I did last time about him, he was promoting something regarding Burger King. He had a Burger King deal, and he name dropped Jay-Z, 50 Cent, and Puff to garner up his stature, right? So, you know, all these guys are culture vultures, new age. They're basically new age versions of what Jim Crow was back in the day, meaning that during the Jim Crow era and when they had the genre called race records, where, you know, you had all black music back in the early 1900s, the dominant white society ensured that this particular pocket of people, right, they were separated from the dominant white society. So black people, being the creators that we are, recreated jazz, funk, rock and roll, gospel, all of that stuff, right? Back in those eras. And then they labeled it race records, right? When you have a pocket of talented people classified as black making that kind of music, the dominant white society study those people, right? They study them to a T. Ask Margaret Sanger. That's the same reason why she created eugenics. She wanted to sterilize and control black people, right? But my point is that back then, back in the early 1900s and today, compared to the DJ Khaled's of the world, the Conor McGregor's of the world, the Bruno Mars of the world, the dominant white society owns and controls the music industry. You can call them the Jews. You can call them the Bilderberger Group. You can call them Illuminati. They're classified as white, whatever the case may be. These people, right, they prefer those type of people, the names I just mentioned, the Khaled's, the Bruno Mars, Conor McGregor's of the world. They prefer them to be the face of the entertainment industry, right? They prefer them. And, you know, you can say, hey, well, Chauncey, what are you talking about, man? You have your movie Black Panther that's almost at $1 billion. Like I said to you before, if you watch my Black Panther video breakdown, the dominant white society, at the end of the day, it's about what generates revenue. So with the success and the height of Black Panther, and it made so much money and it's close to $1 billion globally from the box office, right? They know that this big, and if you go back into what I was saying before, from the 1900s in race records, they know how talented black people are. So as long as they own and control the infrastructure, right? They don't care if you're black or not, because they're going to make their money. And that's what they did with Black Panther. You know, Disney owns the rights to that movie. Sure, the actors got, you know, a couple $1 million, right? Directors and all that stuff. But the back end money, that revenue from the box office, all that money is going to them. Okay? All that money is going to them. So that's what I mean. As long as the dominant white society owns and controls the infrastructure, they can make a face for you know, somebody in music, somebody in movies, whatever the face they want to make, as long as that money is going to them, that's the end. That is the conversation right there. That is the end of the conversation right there. That's what I meant to say. As long as they're making that money back, that's the end of that conversation right there. Right. So, yeah, there was something else that I wanted to bring up also regarding Culture Vultures and Bruno Mars. Thought I had my tab up. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it. I'll come back to it if I can find it. But yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up regarding that. You know, like I said, the lady that was on that clip on Twitter, she was 100% factual. You know, Bruno Mars is a culture vulture. DJ Khaled is a culture vulture. DJ Vlad is a culture vulture. Justin Timberlake. Who else? You guys in the comment section, let me know who else. All these guys classified as non-black, appropriating black culture. They are culture vultures. Now, the real question is, what can we do about it? Right? What can we really do about it? And again, it comes to owning and controlling. All right? Owning and controlling the infrastructure. That's what we can do about it. The Spotify's of the world, the iTunes of the world. I'm specifically talking about in the music industry. All of these platforms where these artists have their intellectual property, right? These platforms are owned by the dominant white society. The iTunes, the Spotify's, the titles. You could say Jay-Z owns, but he's just the face of that. He's just the face of that company. Okay. Who else? All of these digital platforms that allow artists to stream music and stuff like that. The YouTubes of the world. It comes down to owning and controlling. You know, we are slowly trying to get there. I mean, you have you know, websites that I fully support, like blackjunction.tv, blackspot .tv, blackspot.com, stuff like that, and black owned streaming services that are coming into fruition. We just have to start continuing to build infrastructure like that. You know, and that's how we're going to continue to profit off our own intellectual property and not let the dominant white society eat off what we create. Right? Because that's what that's all they've been doing since the early 1900s is studying black culture, right? Coming to us rather, and saying, hey, brother, you know, I got the studio that you can record music. I heard your music that you did in, you know, wherever you performed at. I got a nice studio. I got some writers. Let's make some music and you'll be popular. Right? And they continue to do it to this day. It's the same thing in full circle. Right? Same thing in full circle. So yeah, Miley Cyrus, Bieber, yeah, most definitely. Let's see, he can hop. He's one of the few artists who can hear on a pop station and R&B station. Yeah, speaking of R&B, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. R&B stations, pop stations, right? I talked about this before. Again, R&B and hip hop. Remember, guys, as far as charting, you know, in the billboards, hip hop and R&B are charted together in Billboard. And that first started in 1999. There's a reason why they're charted together, not separately. Right? Even though they're two different genres of music, but the dominant white society says, no, y'all pretty much sound the same. R&B nowadays, you can't tell the difference between R&B and hip hop. You really can't. But back in the day, of course, you know, in the 90s, you know, you have a few artists today that mimic that sound, but for the most part, mainstream artists, you know, especially, you know, hip hop, you can't tell the difference between an R&B record and a hip hop record. Right. But, you know, a guy by the name of Jerry Wexler was the guy who invented the term rhythm and blues. And he also was responsible for charting rhythm and blues and hip hop in the same genres in 1999. That guy was a white guy, actually a Jewish guy. He was responsible for charting R&B and hip hop in the same genre 1999. And he coined the phrase rhythm and blues. Before that, it was just called, like I said, Race Records. That was way back in the early, you know, 1900s. So, you know, they, you know, started charting that stuff together back in 1999. You know what I'm saying? They should never chart R&B and hip hop together. Yeah, of course. Like I said, you know, it doesn't make sense because they're two different genres of music. But you know why today you really can't tell the difference of an R&B record and a hip hop record? Because that's what the industry wants. The industry controlled by the dominant white society. They want that sound to be exactly the same. It's diluted. Right? Two specific genres of music that are dominated by black people, created by black people, charted together. That's like charting classic music and EDM, you know, electronic dance music. Can you imagine charting classical music and EDM together? It doesn't make sense. They're two different genres of music. Same thing with R&B and hip hop. Two different genres of music, but they charted them together. Right? And you know why that is? You know why that is. So they as in the dominant white society owns and controls the narrative. You know, that's the reason why they're charted together. So yeah, Jerry Wexler, he passed away. He did pass away. Yeah. Yeah. Soul, it was unofficially called soul music. Back in the 60s, that was just the name they put out there. But again, like I said, you know, Jerry Wexler, he was the guy that coined the phrase rhythm and blues, and they ran with that. And then, like I said, they started to chart R&B. It was charted separately for a while. And then 1999, they charted both R&B and hip hop together. They merged the two together as if they're the same exact type of music. You know what I'm saying? So guys like Bruno Mars, you know, he can fall in both categories because he culturally appropriates both genres. All right? Both genres. So oh yeah, most def. The music today, you know, is not only trash, it's too agenda driven. All of these artists they push them out because they have an agenda. I talked about this this old article. There was a Billboard music executive survey that happened a couple years ago, right? And I talked about this before. Yeah, this was back in 2015. You know, it's basically they say the Billboard Music Executive Survey, top brass weigh in on the artists they convey the most, right? And I talked about this before. So they did a survey based off of music executives, and of course, these music executives are classified as non-black. We know that, but this was done in 2015, and they listed their favorite artists back in that time, right? Their favorite artists, or at least their top three, were Taylor Swift, Lady Gaga, and Adele, right? And then they also were asked one other question regarding what genre of music do you despise the most? Okay. Number 3 was pop. Number 2 was EDM. And number 1 was rap. The genre of music they despise the most. So, you know, again, like I said, this has all been, you know, agenda driven regarding the artists they want to push out and have popular right now. If they did this survey again today, more than likely Bruno Mars would be probably, you know, if not one, or at least the top 3 artists they want to push out and culturally appropriate, you know, black culture in our music. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like I said, it's all, you know, it's all agenda driven. So what about the black culture vultures like Dr. Dre or Diddy? Well, see, you can't be classified as black and be a culture vulture in your own culture. That doesn't make sense. It's like you know, it's like Dr. Dre, I don't know, Dr. Dre going over and crossing over to, I don't know, some white dominated music culture and making money off of that particular culture. Technically, you can't really do that anyway, because black people, we don't own or control anything. So we technically don't have the power to really culturally appropriate other cultures outside of our own, if that makes sense. We don't have the infrastructure and we don't have the wherewithal to do that. You know, if you're classified as non-black, you can do that. Especially if you have the resources and the infrastructure behind you to help you with that. You know, you can do that very, very easily. So, black people do not honor their own music heritage like others do. I'd say, you know, some black people, not all, you know, some of us do honor our own music heritage. Like I said, you know, Bruno Mars, even though he acknowledges his Puerto Rican side, right? He did mention that music, especially the music that he, you know, the music that he creates is inspired by black culture. And he knows that black people basically created the foundation of hip hop, R&B, rock and roll. He did acknowledge that. You know, he did acknowledge that. You know, let's see what else y'all got saying. We own the talent and the creativity. The power is just that we have not learned to use it. Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, again, we don't own or control anything. We don't, you know. Again, this goes back to the iTunes of the world, the Spotify's of the world, all of these streaming services that we don't own or control. It comes down to owning and controlling infrastructure. The platform I'm on right now to get the message out to you guys, YouTube, we don't own or control these infrastructures. That's what we need to get back down to, is owning and controlling our own infrastructure, right? It's not just about creative freedom. It's about owning and controlling, right? So if you're misusing your own people, you can be a vulture. Yeah, that's true. At the same time, though, that's okay. I'm gonna take that back. That's true and untrue, because let's say, for instance, perfect example, right? Somebody like a Charles Barkley. Now I can basically tell you guys, everybody in this chat knows that Charles Barkley is more than likely a coon. Everybody in this chat room can agree with that, right? Let's say Charles Barkley, and I know he's in the sports world. Let's just say he's an artist in the music industry, right? And he's creating misogynistic records filled with drug and references and stuff like that, right? Just so that he can get more record spins and streamings and all that stuff, right? Now his record label or his team that's behind him, they're pushing that particular message for his music, for the masses, right? They're pushing that but he's also creating at the same time. Now he's knowingly doing this, right? Making these, all of these records that are misogynistic, have drug references, and it sounds like a real artist that's doing this now, somebody like a Future, right? But I'm using Charles Barkley as a reference because of the fact that he's a coon that's verifiable, right? But what I'm saying is that even though he's really negatively impacting the genre of music, and I'm going to say hip hop music, knowingly doing this, all of the spins and the streaming stuff that he's doing, he's making some money from it, some, but not all. Most of that money that he's getting from, regarding all of the record spins and the streaming services and the appearances and stuff like that, is coming back to his record label. They're making that money back. He's getting some. The rest of that money is going back to his record label, meaning his particular platform that he signed to. That's what it goes back to, owning and controlling your infrastructure. So the people behind the scenes that you don't see out in the forefront, they are making the real money. It's the same thing I was talking about with Black Panther. All of the box office revenue is not going to the actors. It's not going to the director, Ryan Coogler. It's going back to Disney, the people behind the scenes. All right? It's not going back to the quote unquote Black community. It's going back to Disney. And it, like I said, it goes back down to owning and controlling your own infrastructure. That's what it goes back down to. So, yep. So anyway, family, yeah, I think I'm gonna close out for the night. Appreciate you guys joining my live stream. Much appreciated. Thank you for coming up and chatting with me. Stay tuned for more live streams. I could just do some live streams randomly. I'm still trying to figure out the kinks with this camera. I know it's a better quality camera. You guys can see it, but I want to play around with the settings and stuff like that a little more and try to get used to this camera. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. So just be on the lookout for more live streams. I'll probably do another one this weekend. Just stay tuned for that. And so that is that, family. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in. for GMOG Media TV Live. All right, family. Once again, make sure you follow me on social media. The Black Separatist on Instagram, Black Separatist on Twitter. Also check me out on Black Junction TV. All right. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. All right, family. So until next time, Chauncey, aka the Black Separatist, signing out. Peace.